my biodata, and a brief history of how we developed the SiSTeCATI system. Let me share some background on why we've reached the point of creating the SiSTeCATI system today. This journey has deep roots. It's not something we suddenly decided to pursue in the last year or two, just because large language models emerged. In Malaysia, particularly at the University of Science Malaysia, USM, our story began in 1979, around 40+ years ago. At the time, USM had just been established. Due to the national language policy, the university's leadership had an idea. If we could use computers to translate all English textbooks into Malay, it would be ideal. This way, students could learn in Malay. Manual translation would have been challenging. There likely weren't enough skilled translators for English to Malay work back then. So, they formed a small team. This team was assembled to research this area. At the time, computer-assisted translation already existed, but the computers then were worlds apart from what we have today. Those machines were the size of this room, what we called IBM mainframe. These enormous computers required massive cooling systems, yet their processing power was far inferior to today's devices. So you can imagine how limited translation efforts were with such technology. Meanwhile, in France, there was a renowned research center called GETA, Groupe d'études pour la traduction automatique, a pioneer in machine translation. Upon learning about them, our university's leadership sent researchers there to collaborate. The logic was simple. Instead of starting from scratch, why not learn from the best? A few PhD students were dispatched to study their technology. GETA was incredibly generous. They shared their entire system and allowed us to install it on our IBM mainframe at USM. This marked the birth of machine translation research in Malaysia. Our original goal was to translate all university textbooks from English to Malay, but given the limitations of those computers, testing soon revealed how little they could actually achieve. While the objective wasn't fully realized, it opened up a new research field here. From 1979 onward, USM and GETA began regular exchanges. Researchers traveled back and forth annually. This collaboration established our team's expertise in natural language processing, NLP, specifically machine translation. Evolution over the decades. From 1979 to today, we've witnessed the entire evolution of NLP. The most obvious change? Computers themselves. We transitioned from room-sized mainframes to PCs, then to countless other devices. Programming languages also evolved drastically, from assembly language, an extremely difficult early language, to today's Python, which is incomparably simpler. Each technological leap greatly advanced NLP research. Personally, I joined this effort in 1990, not 1979. The first-generation lead was Dr. Tong Loong Chong, followed by my supervisor, Professor Zaran Yusuf. Dr. Tong led for about 10 years, and Professor Zaharan, who was sent to GETA for his PhD, took over for another decade. By the time I became Professor Zaharan's PhD student, focusing on machine translation, the team had already been active for 20 years. Back then, fully automated translation was not feasible, but we made significant strides in computer-aided translation, CAT. This involved compiling dictionaries, developing spell checkers, and creating tools to speed up human translators. Linguists at USM collaborated closely with us to build these resources, and they actively used the systems. Expanding horizons. By 1998, I earned my PhD in 1994. Professor Zaran became Dean of the newly established School of Computer Sciences, previously under the School of Mathematics. When Professor Zaharan was no longer able to lead the research, I was appointed the unit head. Over the next decade, we secured government grants and expanded collaborations, pushing the field further. By 2008, I left USM to join Multimedia University, MMU, in Kuala Lumpur, shifting focus to multimedia, a booming field then. There, I worked on not just NLP but also image video processing and creative media. This exposure to visual technologies enriched my toolkit. After NMU, I semi-retired, focusing on independent research. One key post-retirement project involved visiting research centers across ASEAN, 10 countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, Philippines, Brunei, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Myanmar. A regional machine translation initiative aimed to bridge language barriers among these nations. Many ASEAN languages lacked computational resources, so I spent years collaborating with local researchers. The Myanmar Meditation Project. During a 2018-19 trip to Myanmar, I encountered a unique challenge. The country is famed for its ancient meditation practices, highly regarded by visitors from China, Japan, and Korea. However, language barriers arose. Teachers instructed in English, which older practitioners often couldn't understand. Learning I worked on machine translation, a meditator from China asked, "Dr. Tang, can you build a system to translate the teacher's English into Chinese?" Though I cautioned him about limitations, we formed a small team with a local Myanmar university to explore solutions using Google's NLP tools, which were advanced at the time. Then, COVID-19 hit in 2020, halting travel. Working alone, I switched to Python and OpenAI's APIs, post-2022's GPT breakthrough. The accuracy leap was astounding. What began as a modest meditation interpretation tool now held real promise. The birth of SiSTeCATI. So that's the history behind the development of natural language processing, machine translation, computer-aided translation, and later the addition of multimedia, video and audio, which has led to the SiSTeCATI system we have now, capable of real-time video translation. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to return to Myanmar to work, even now. Maybe one day when things are more stable there, I'll go back and share it with them.